Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you I have a Mighty game review. This is going to be actually my last video of 2020. It's finally here. 2020 is over. Thank God, because well, actually, you know what? This year wasn't all that bad for me. Wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either, so I'm not going to complain. But hopefully everybody's excited for the end of the year, or the last day of the year, and hopefully everybody has a great New Year's Eve. But let's do this thing. I'm going to do this review, final video of the year, doing a review of Will to Live Online. This is a free online MMO from AlphaSoft. The game was initially released in April 5th, 2018, and the developer and publisher is AlphaSoft. Now, there's two ways to get this game. One is you can get it through Steam, and you can actually get it through my.games, and you could download a launcher that way. I'm actually showing you PC, Steam, and that's because that's how my other friends have it that recommended the game to me. And I actually got around to checking this out, and I'm going to have to say I am actually not disappointed. It is set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. I actually believe it's supposed to be Russia, considering there is quite a few Russia references in the game. And it is definitely a game heavily influenced by Stalker. I'm going to leave it at that. I actually do have the intro story video, if you will, up on my YouTube channel. I'll throw a link to it. It's just the intro, nothing else. But then you can actually get a story of what is Will to Live Online, what is the background, what is the basis of everything, etc. But what I'm going to talk about here is I'm going to talk about what I liked about the game, what I disliked about the game, and stuff I think they could actually improve on. And honestly, there's not really actually a whole lot here to dislike, especially from a game that is an early access game. It is from an independent developer. There's a lot of stuff in the game that it's not really great, but there's nothing horrendously bad to say about the game either. The graphics are, not amazing, but they're not bad. They're functional. The environment graphics, such as the trees and the grass and that, nothing great, nothing to write home to mom about, but it's not bad either. It definitely sets the tone of the game. It's got anomalies. The graphics for the anomalies are pretty good. I like a lot of the sounds for the guns, the reload animations, etc. I especially like the SKS reload animations. That is one I actually pointed out with the SKS. A lot of games that features the SKS, the best example is Escape from Tarkov, because it is one of the lower level rifles in Escape from Tarkov, if you will. But that game actually doesn't have stripper clips yet. It actually has like the Generation 2, Generation 3 plastic magazines for the SKS. Or you can do single top feed into the internal box magazine. But what I thought was cool about this was the stripper clip animation. Now, the one thing I did find out after I put a scope on, I was very curious. Did they have the reload animations advanced to the point that the scope actually blocks me from using the stripper clip? And unfortunately, it does not. Well, that's actually kind of a unfortunately thing, because it's nice not to have my reload hindered by the scope, but actually it would be hindered by the scope. So for those for a realistic shooter experience, it does lack in certain areas, but generally speaking, it doesn't lack everywhere. And there actually is, I did notice some bullet drop in the game, but not a whole lot. So bullet drop is not a major factor in this game. Next, there is some survival elements. If you look at the yellow bar, that's got the 4 little bars in it. And then there's the blue bar that has 3, even though it has 4 when you're full. Those are food, and the blue is water, your hydration. So there is food and hydration, but the nice thing I saw about this game versus other games with survival elements or survival games in general is there's not a lot of needing to eat all the time. You know, Conan Exiles especially is one of those. The Force sometimes can get a little crazy with its eating, but it's not near as bad as, say, Ark and Conan Exiles. But you could get away with, if you fill up your hydration like every day, once a day, you fill your hydration, you fill up your hunger, and you're good to go for a whole day. And then you'll still actually have some left over. So it's nice to see that that's in the game, but it's not a major factor. It's not a major hindrance, and etc. And you don't have to carry a ton of rations. Most of my money that I earn is actually spent around buying ammunition, which it's nice to see in this game. There's a bunch of different types of ammunition, but it's not crazy like Escape from Tarkov, where there's 10 different munitions just for 7.62 by 39, which is what the SKS uses. The AK-47 uses 7.62 by 39 as well. There's multiple different pistols. Here's actually one of the anomalies in the game. That's where I feel that the game is heavily stalker influenced, but they actually give a good reason for those anomalies in the story itself. Next thing I want to cover out is the missions could actually be a bit better. It's a lot of really... it's a lot of fetch quest. Go here, get this. Go here, get this. Bring it back to me. Hey, take this item, deliver it to here, and then come back to me, etc. That's like the big main thing for this game. And unfortunately, that is more or less, I guess you could say, the big thing anymore with RPGs. It seems like RPGs are really heavily reliant on fetch quests and really don't focus on too much else. Now, there is some other story aspects here that's not covered in the main story. The character, you're supposed to be a character that was attacked and was rescued, was found out in the middle of nowhere, and you've been rescued and you have amnesia. And that does have some okay-ish character development. Right now, the game only features 4 classes. Which is you have mercenary, you have hunter, which is like your sniper, you have engineer, and miner. So you don't have a whole lot of classes to deal with. There is differences in all the classes, how they function, the type of armor they wear, the type of weapons they use, their base carry weights, their base health pools, etc. So they did give some differences for all the different characters. I am actually playing a mercenary, so my thing is running assault rifles, and it's more or less built around combat, especially with the rifles, where engineers uses submachine guns. So they actually have your different primary weapons broken down based on what class you are. Miners use shotguns, and then hunters uses sniper rifles or hunting rifles per se. Even though I could convert the SKS into a sniper rifle, which is what I did once I got an automatic rifle. I converted the SKS into a sniper rifle. And then there's pistols in the game, which is a generic handgun that everyone can use. There's revolvers, as well as your typical magazine-fed semi-automatics. And then you have knives as well, which is another generic weapon that everyone can use in the game. But everybody affects it a little bit differently. I actually believe when it comes to hand-to-hand combat damage, the miner is one of the better character classes. So everything's different on that end. I'm not going to get in depth with that because I really don't know how all the classes really work. I just know how essentially how the mercenary works, which I'm going to get into here in a bit with the microtransactions. Sounds nothing amazing, but they're functional. They sound good enough. Nothing to write home to mom about, but they're good. They're good. That's all that can be said about that. The music gets pretty boring. It's actually repetitive. They only have like one song in the game, but that song does set the mood. I'm going to be honest though, for most of my gaming experience, I actually shut the music off and listened to a 10-hour loop of Bandit Radio from Stalker because of how much this game reminds me of Stalker. And there's different zones in this game. They have actually the map broken down in different sections, and the map is quite big and can be difficult to traverse. However, there is an anomaly called a radio anomaly. It's like it looks like TV static, and it gives like off this type of radio static type of sound that you can use to teleport yourself around the map. But that being said, some of those are actually dangerous. Some of them lead to nowhere. There is a couple of them out there, though, that are actually fairly safe to use. So, yeah, the wiki page is a useful item when it comes to this game. There's not a lot of different types of armor. You know what? That really doesn't bug me too much, but there is different types of armor out there. There's not a ton of different types of weapons for each character class, but there's enough out there to make the game entertaining. Everything is locked behind a level cap, so you need a minimum required level to use the different guns, such as like the SKS here. I had to become a level 7 before the SKS became available for me to purchase and use. The guns are modifiable. As you can see here, my SKS doesn't have a muzzle brake, but I do have a reflex sight. However, you will see later that my SKS actually does have a muzzle brake, and it also has a scope. And the muzzle brake helps with the accuracy and the recoil of the rifle, so on and so forth. Some of the body armors can be modified as well. You can put different types of steel plates, plastic plates, even different grades of steel plates in the plate carriers, and even some of the leg armors can take some of the various armor plates as well. That being said, there is also a crafting system in this game. I can't say a whole lot about the crafting system. I haven't really experimented too much with it yet. I have about 30 hours in the game. And I mean, I've gotten really acquired to how to make the lockpick blanks, how to make lockpicks, how to actually make a campfire, how to use the campfire to cook different items, to make teas that help with healing and poison and stuff like that. But I haven't gotten really as far yet as like making gunmetal bars, different types of steel bars, different types of steel plates. You can actually make different types of ammunitions in the game. So while you spend a lot of your money on buying ammunition, it's a lot of generic ammunition. Like you can buy for the SKS. I use right now primarily I'm using Full Metal Jacket Extra, which is a more higher powered Full Metal Jacket round. But there's also there's also like your regular Full Metal Jacket ammunition as well. With my one rifle my automatic rifle, I actually been using it's 5.45 by 39 armor piercing. I haven't really used the Full Metal Jacket ammunition for that, as well as there's also hollow points, and there's different types of ammo. Shotgun has slugs and buckshot, but then there's magnums, so on and so forth. There's quest logs. You do a lot of different quest logs, stuff like that, and you can actually change what quest what you're doing. And sometimes it'll track on the map, sometimes it won't. So your quest log is going to be a friendly thing. Now, one thing I felt that was kind of a pain in the ass in this game was adding people to my friends list and adding people to my group. Now, it wasn't hard adding people to my group if they were directly in front of me, because I was able to pull up a dial system that I could add them to my group. But adding friends, even if they were standing right directly in front of me, I'd have to sit here and type their name in. So that was kind of a pain in the butt, and I always made sure that the name exactly matched the character. Stuff like that. Same way with adding a group, it's either you got to type in their name or they have to be standing in front of you where you can interact with their character. There's also different types of emotes in the game, which is very cool. There's even Slav squatting, folks. Yes, you can squat like Slav, like the proper Slav. Which I didn't show. I didn't catch any footage of that, unfortunately. Sorry, folks. It would have been nice for the memes, though, huh? Next thing I'm going to cover, the last thing I'm going to cover is the microtransactions. This game has microtransactions. I know I've harped in the past about microtransactions, but understand, folks, when I harp about microtransactions, it's because the games are either really bad and they need the developer needs to focus more on getting their game set up, or it's just one of those $60 AAA titles that are just polluted with microtransactions. Marvel's Avengers. There's more than that, but we'll leave it at that. This is what I'm going to say about that. You know, it's a free-to-play game. They actually do got a decent game going. It's a really nice game. I actually enjoy the game. I do actually recommend the game, and the microtransactions aren't bad. The only thing I find disappointing is they only give you one character slot to make a character. It would have been nice if I would have had 2 character slots, so that way I could have like made a mercenary and maybe fussed around a little bit with like the miner to see what the miner is about. And then maybe go, okay, well, I really don't like the miner. Let's test out the hunter, as well as I could actually give a better review because I would know what the other characters, what the other character classes bring to the table outside of what the mercenary brings to the table. Now, they do have a wiki page, so I would say check out the wiki page if you're interested in this game, and see maybe they got more information there. There's not a whole lot of information on the wiki page, but talking to one of my friends, when he started playing, there was no wiki page at all. So the game has definitely been growing. It's definitely been evolving. It's actually got a pretty decent player base. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but there's never been a moment where I didn't see anyone at all. I honestly really never felt alone when playing this game, even when playing by myself. Other than that, folks, that's really all I have to say about the about Will to Live Online. It's not an amazing game, but it's actually pretty decent and it's entertaining. And do I feel it's worth it? Do I feel it's worth the hard drive space? I actually do recommend this game. Download the game, check it out, see if you like it yourself. But I recommend giving this game a shot. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for watching my review of Will to Live Online. And have yourself a wonderful New Year's Eve, folks.